Three different Oregon coaches have won 10-plus games and a conference title this century. Taggart might well have been the fourth had he stuck around another year or two, but it will happen again, likely very soon. Willie Taggart is gone, headed home to Florida State after less than 1 year, December 7, 2016 to December 5, 2017, in Eugene. He left behind thousands of angst-filled fans and a single lesson, which we'll get to in a moment. First things first, Duck fans, calm down. The program is bigger than Willie Taggart, much bigger. Garfield 4-star ATH Treshawn Harrison decommits from Oregon. That's no knock on Taggart. It's simply 15-plus years of evidence. Three different Oregon coaches have won 10-plus games and a conference title this century. Taggart might well have been the fourth had he stuck around another year or two, but it will happen again, likely very soon. The program's foundation is solid enough to withstand Taggart's departure. It's not the community support or the Nike glow or the night cash or the sensational facilities or the cutting-edge culture. It's all of that, and this Oregon, perhaps to a greater extent than any school in the Pac-12 except USC, has an all-in philosophy for football. By all-in, I mean the athletic department, the academic side, the university development side, everyone. There is a campus-wide understanding of the value of a winning football program and a concerted effort by all branches to work toward that end. Athletic Director Rob Mullins surely deserves some of the credit, but the ethos predates Mullins. It was in place during the Mike Bellotti era, and not merely in the final years. Jeff Tedford talked about Oregon's Allen's-a-Mappage culture when he took over Cal and tried, unsuccessfully, to unify the Berkeley factions. A task not fit for a mortal. John Wilner identifies 7 possible candidates to replace Willie Taggart at Oregon. Iowa State's Matt Campbell, no ties to the West Coast and a giant buyout, but the Ducks have options for raising the cash and the dude can coach. Holy percent at can he coach? Oregon COOC Mario Cristobal, former head coach at Florida International, and had 2 winning seasons in 6 years there. Tough job. Spent 4 seasons working for the master in Tuscaloosa and has been well received during his year as the co-offensive coordinator in Eugene. But Cristobal, is from Florida. Boise State's Brian Harsin, the lure of the blue turf is strong. His record looks good. He was interviewed by Oregon a year ago. Seems obvious. Too obvious. Oregon DC Jim Leavitt, well-regarded defensive coordinator, one of the best in the business, in fact. And he was a successful head coach at South Florida. Had some off-field issues there that the Ducks would have to be comfortable with. Texas A&M's Kevin Sumlin, huge name with major recruiting appeal. That he was let go by the Aggies should not dissuade Oregon. Is he ready to jump back, and would the Ducks be willing to pay his asking price? Not can they, would they? If Mullins wants a head coach with the brand name to compete with Peterson and Shaw and Kelly, then Sumlin should be on the short list. Fresno State's Jeff Tedford turned in the best coaching coach in the western third of the country, a former Oregon assistant with all kinds of recruiting ties to the Northwest and Southern California. Knows quarterbacks. Key issue: could the Ducks be sure head stick it out for more than 4 or 5 years? Cal's Justin Wilcox, the work he did this season in Berkeley was phenomenal, and he's a Duck. Would he bolt Cal after 1 year? Would the Ducks want a defensive coach with only 1 year of HC experience? I've got Wilcox pegged as the coach who replaces Taggart. The lockstep ethos in Eugene affects every aspect of the football program, from recruiting to academics to fundraising, and it creates a foundation that's able to withstand setbacks. On-field recovery unfolds faster at Oregon than just about anywhere in the conference because there are so many hands providing support, some of it obvious, some subtle, some direct, some indirect. As a result, the Ducks have more margin for error with a coaching hire. The pool of candidates capable of winning 10-plus games and a conference title is larger than anywhere else except Trajanland. The Ducks can screw up the hire, sure. But the chances of screwing up are slim because the margin for error is so much larger relative to their peers. That goes for recruiting, too. Taggart had a terrific class lined up, and it's now likely in jeopardy. But again, there remains plenty of reason for top prospects to sign with Oregon. They signed with the Ducks before Taggart and will sign with the Ducks after Taggart. The Mark Helfrich era is proof of the strength of the Oregon lockstep. No, it didn't work out. But the window of wreckage opened and closed ridiculously fast. The Ducks were 94-72 Pac-12 in 2015, the start of the slippage, then cratered in 16. That downturn never saw year 3. The Ducks surely would have won 8 or 9 games had Justin Herbert been healthy. Transpose the recruiting mistakes and rotting culture that took place in the 201,316 span onto any other program save USC, and the downturn is deeper and longer lasting. Some of that credit goes to Taggart and the staff he assembled, except that Oregon itself provided the resources for Taggart to hire Jim Leavitt and co. Those resources are part of the elite ethos. The Ducks aren't guaranteed to hire a 10-win coach, but you have to like their chances.